This is the best level in every mainline Super Mario game. I love Mario. I want you to know that right next to Sora and Kingdom Hearts in my heart is Mario. Every single game has been a freedom of expression with its controls, or has added tight level design that's always been so satisfying to conquer. And Mario is just a cool guy. He jumps into danger without thinking about it, and he's always able to maintain a happy attitude. Except Smash Bros. Mario. This guy looks like he'll make you eat the curb. I wanted to go through all of his mainline adventures and choose a single level that really defines that entire game for me. Like when I boot up these games, I'm looking forward to coming back to these levels in particular. But this does raise the question of what is considered a mainline Mario game. Obviously, the RPG, kart racers, and sports games are out of the mix, but I wanted something definitive to go off of, something right out of Nintendo's mouth themselves. So if you go onto the Nintendo website, they have a dedicated section for Mario's history, basically going through all of the games Nintendo considers the mainline entries, and it has all the ones you would anticipate to be here, although there are two games that are missing that I'm going to be including in this video, and that's Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels. I imagine that they don't have this as part of the website since it never officially released around the world until several years later because this game has hands, and Super Mario Wonder, because this is the most recent 2D entry and the end of the timeline here ends on Bowser's Fury. There are also a handful of games on this list that I will mention because they were mentioned by Nintendo, but have certain things that might lean them away from a mainline title, which I will go into later. And obviously, Super Mario Wonder is the most recent 2D Mario. We cannot go without mentioning that one, giving us 25 different Mario games to talk about. We're gonna go through them one by one and I'll share my favorite level from each one. But before I get into it, let me know in the comment section below what is your favorite Super Mario level. I want you to give me the game and the stage itself in a similar way to the way I'm doing in this video, because there are literally hundreds of Mario stages out there. I'm sure everyone's answer is going to be drastically different. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit that like button as it helps out the channel. But without further ado, this is the best level in every mainline Super Mario game. This is one of those stages that I ended up playing a lot when I was growing up. After reaching the end of World 1-2, you have the option between taking the normal exit or climbing on the top through this pathway here to get to the warp zone. And obviously, as a kid, secret passageways were always scratching that right part of my brain. So a lot of my Super Mario playthroughs would go from 1-1 into 1-2, and then we jump right into 4-1. This is the level where Lakitu is throwing out those spinies from the sky. So on top of you trying to hit blocks and make tight jumps, you need to avoid getting hit by these things. After a while, I found that the best solution for this level is just to run like hell. If you just go fast enough, the spinies will never be able to reach you. It even got to a point where I was getting good enough at timing my jumps that I could get through the entire level without stopping. This might have been my first ever introduction into speedrunning as a child, and I had no idea. There's also a chunk of this level with a bunch of question mark blocks, tempting you like the devil to slow down and collect some loot. So you have the option to keep running, or potentially get trapped between the fallen spinies to your greed. Still, I look back at this one fondly every time I'm zooming through Super Mario Bros. What kind of place is this? Right. The Mario game's so difficult that the answer of telling Americans to get good was to never release it out here to begin with. I try to imagine a different timeline where Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels did release in the United States, causing the general public to talk about the difficulty scale from the original and how this game is just so much harder. To be honest, this game is just full of so much BS. As I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate the nonsense littered throughout this title. So much so that I've developed Stockholm Syndrome from 7-3. This is a level where you're basically taking massive blind leaps of faith and pray to God that you land in the right spot. The wind is pushing you a little bit further, making the jumps harder to calculate the landing. You'll also need to hit that trampoline just right or you're falling right to your death. This entire level from start to finish is just a massive anxiety attack waiting to happen. And I think it sums up this entire game perfectly. It's some grade A bull, but it gives such a sense of relief when landing those jumps. This level just kind of feels like gambling with your life. I kind of dig it for that. Super Mario Bros. 2 Doki Doki Literature Club is the actual version we got here in the United States, and it's the one I played a lot in the Super Mario Bros. All-Star SNES collection. I think as a kid, I was just obsessed with finding all of the secret paths, making it so a lot of my favorite stages were the ones with the secret exits, and that goes the same with 4-2. Once you get to the top of this vine, it's up to you to get through this single icy path while dodging all of this incoming nonsense. You'll be ducking and crouching and needed to use your fast reflexes to avoid getting super cooked by these flying guys. I remember going super slow during my playthroughs because it felt like a jump scare every time one of these guys appeared on the screen. I also like that at the end of it, you're able to ride on top of these giant whales. They even shoot up water that you can also get on top of. And there's even a moment where you need to thug a shy guy for his ride to get across these spikes, eventually leading to another battle with Birdo. The ice does make it a bit annoying to land on these eggs since your momentum is all over the place, but this is still my favorite from Mario 2. I feel so elegant when I'm able to get through this intro section without getting hit. so I actually played this game for the first time on the 3DS when it was released on their digital store. This was not one of those games I owned on my Game Boy, strangely enough. I think it's because I had Super Mario Bros. Deluxe and that was my fix for that game at the time. So my parents were like, you don't really need 2 Mario games. Anyway, this game is so small, being about the size of half of a Mario game, but the level I'm always looking forward to coming back to is 4-1. There's something really special about the music and it makes it feel so unique. I'm also a big fan of the level design with the backgrounds having cut up bamboo. I like how they might sometimes reach the top of the stage while others are cut from reaching it, and the small decorations of mountains in the background. It's also pretty dope to see Mario have to take down actual ninjas instead of one of the various creatures in this game. Like, this is a real person in the Mario mythos and you just stomp their skull right into the ground. This stage always stuck out to me because of how different it felt from the rest of the game. Heck, it felt different than any other Mario content from this period. And I'll be honest, it's definitely the music. Such a pleasant tune for a Mario level. Okay, so now we're getting into territory where I had certain stages fighting for their life. There are so many distinctive levels in this game that are a core part of my memory. I think about running away from the big fish right at the start of World 3. Then there's the level where you're able to stomp around in a giant boot. Of course, there's the whole world where you can alter the size from big to small. But if I had an absolute favorite level in this game, it's going to be World 5-Tower. A big reason for this is how it ties into the game's narrative, or rather how this stage has a narrative in a Mario game about its grand sense of adventure. When you enter World 5 for the first time, you're only given half the picture, with all of the beginning levels starting on the land. Seems pretty simple enough, but then you approach the tower here and begin to go up its interior. Outside of just going right, you'll be spending a lot of the stage going up, as Mario is scaling the tower to reach its very top. There's even a point when you're on the outside of the tower itself, inside of the sky level, but the music stays the same as if you were on the inside. I think it's just a variety of level design here, focusing more on heading upward than just jumping left and right. And once you get up there, there's a moment where you think the world is finished, only for Mario 3 to be the gift that keeps on giving, and now you've unlocked the sky section of World 5. And it's massive. I love that this stage acts as a transition between the land and the sky, really makes the world feel connected, making it my favorite stage in Mario 3. To me, Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World feel like two halves of the same coin, as they're both defined by their creative levels and use of unique power-ups. So picking my favorite Super Mario World level was not an easy thing for me to do. I was thinking about the sunken ship level, as a stage that transitions into the final level as you swim until everything goes into a free fall. Then there's that first stage of Donut Plains where you're finally able to unlock the power to fly for the first time. I really had to dig deep inside of my brain for the answer here, and it instantly came to me clear as day. A lot of these stages have secret exits that require a certain power-up to complete. It's often you'll need the feather to fly to these exits, or maybe you'll need a Yoshi to handle a certain obstacle that Mario cannot complete on his own. Point is, you'll need to get power-ups if you want to get everything that this game has to offer. Fortunately, there is always a reliable location to do this. In the Donut Ghost House, there's a moment where you need to fly above the stage while avoiding getting hit by the boos. Going down this path will open up the game's secret exit and unlock the top secret area. In this level, you'll find some boxes that can either be holding mushrooms, fire flowers, feathers, or Yoshis, and you're able to return right to this location every single time. If I went through a level in Mario World and I needed a power-up, I would always go right here to avoid wasting any time. It feels like a tranquil location where you're able to take a breather, and is easily one of my most replayed levels. If I was exploring Mario World, I would always hit this spot first. This might feel like cheating because it's not really a traditional level, but who cares? It's my favorite in this game because it made completing the rest of the game so much more convenient. We love games that save us some time. So I might actually have the least to say about this game. It's another one where I picked up years later on my Nintendo 3DS, but I don't really remember much of this game. It was one of those that I played it and I just kind of moved on. But if I had one stick out stage though, it has to be Space Zone Stage 2. This is an auto-scrolling level as you're controlling Mario through the depths of space. He's given an infinite jump and you're tasked with getting through the level while avoiding these star obstacles. It's one where you kind of have to act fast to get around, and I love seeing Mario in his little space getup. Also, this track is an absolute banger. What on earth? Even when I'm writing this script, I got the song on in the background and damn.
It's me, Mario!
Now we're jumping into the real big stuff here. So 3D Marios are significantly bigger than their 2D counterparts, as there are only a handful of levels, but tons of objectives within them to extend their playtime. So for the 3D Mario games, I'm gonna pick my favorite level, and I'm going to be throwing in my favorite individual star as a bonus. Because there's so much packed into these games, there's no way I can just rush through them like this and not gush. For my favorite world, it has to be Lethal Lava Land. I love how it's essentially a giant open area where platforming circles around every corner. It would be often where I would just jump into lava so I can make some of these more difficult jumps. Just lose a little bit of HP and we'll be fine. There's also the moment where you're slapboxing the bullies, as only one with true strength will be able to make it in this platform. Then they even try to get away with jumping you like a bunch of cowards. The stage also has its own wing cap, making it so you can fly around the entire level. Obviously, this item is my favorite in all of the Mario lore. Surprise, surprise. I just love the freedom of being able to go wherever you want with this thing. Not only that, but there's a volcano right in the middle with an entire level inside of it, and has some of the tightest platforming in the game. The amount of times I've fallen down in this volcano is just too many to count. Lethal Lava Land just keeps on giving, and I adore coming back here. It has this constant level of stress around every corner with the lava, and the tough platforming sections that really reward you. As for my favorite star, it's going right to Princess's Secret Slide. Sometimes I would just boot up this game so I can go down this thing. It's one of the most iconic secret levels in gaming, and it's so much fun to try and beat your time. The game even rewards you with an additional star for going fast enough. It's just one really long tunnel into this dark oblivion. I've started to realize a lot of my favorite Mario levels are the ones that require you to go fast. It would be nuts if they made a 3D platformer about going fast. Wouldn't that be insane? Anyway.
Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
It's Noki Bay. I want you to know I can make an entire video about this stage alone and how much pure magic this provides, but we'll be here all day. I love how in order to enter this level, you need to look up at the sun at this specific location, being a direct reference to how you get into the wing cap stage in Super Mario 64. This is another level with its own lore that transpires from start to finish, as when you arrive here, the water is heavily polluted, damaging Mario if he wants to take a swim. Then you're tasked with scaling the side of this goo-covered mountain to uncork a waterfall and restore the water back to normal. Once this is done, you'll be helping out the locals with whatever they ask, like taking down a blooper by scaling on the other side of the level, or jumping inside of a bottle to gather red coins. There's also an entire underwater section where you need to play dentist and clean out this monster's teeth, in one of the most scary looking bosses to ever touch the series. Look at this thing, nightmare fuel. I would be mortified every time I got caught in this thing's mouth. The thing about Noki Bay is that it's just nice. It's nice to jump around, it's nice to explore with all of its hidden secrets and different pathways. You can even jump from super high from where the waterfall was and just do a giant dive. To me, this is Sandbox Mario done to perfection, as every shine just pushes this level further from what it wants from you. You'll get your tough platforming sections, but you'll also have moments of, I wonder what's over there, and it's usually something neat. Although, as for my favorite shine in this game, there is one only available after unlocking the turbo nozzle. There's this door between two pigs that leads into a secret level, and this one in particular asks you to use the turbo nozzle to make these massive jumps. You have to be careful to not go too fast or stop flood too early, as this will definitely lead to your demise. But this last jump right here always felt like a leap of faith to me. This is another one of those shines that I would just boot up the game from time to time to collect. It's short, simple, but very exhilarating. I wish they did more levels like this with the turbo nozzle. This level might be a bit confusing, so hear me out. So when I was doing the research for this video and I ran through all of the levels in this game, I remember I was watching and thinking to myself, oh, that was a good one, or oh yeah, that was a fun one. But they all kind of gave me that same normal reaction out of me. And that's just the thing with these new Super Mario Bros. Stages. While they are expertly crafted and fun to go through, this is the era of Mario when he started to get a little basic, where each stage just kind of feels like they were checking boxes to include them. Sure, Mario has been in the forest and the desert and the ocean a bunch, but there was always a little sauce in older games. In this game, it just felt like they made a game. So I don't really have a standout stage for this one. But then I remembered New Super Mario Bros. Is more than just its single player campaign, as the game features a competitive multiplayer mode where Mario faces off against Luigi, and the first person to collect 5 stars is dedicated the winner. You'll be using jumps and blocks and power-ups to knock these stars out of each other. And I found myself having the fondest memories when playing this as a kid. For my favorite stage, it's definitely the ice one. There are tons of different different pits for players to fall into. I love the inclusion of a trampoline that can be used to get away from your foe, and the item variety was just there in this one, allowing you to be Fire Mario or even pull up with a blue shell. There's even bullet bills to mix things up. I was always so excited to get to this level because I knew it was going to be a chaotic time. If you've never played the multiplayer mode of this game, you definitely missed out. I wish they would bring more of this PvP stuff for other Mario games. I think that would be so cool. So Super Mario Galaxy was a very different game when compared to the previous 3D Marios, more focused on tight level design instead of sandbox-like areas for exploration. While Galaxy is one of the most fun games to ever exist, I was very much akin to the sandbox style of Mario games. So when we got a level with a bit more exploration, I was definitely about it. And in came in Beach Bowl Galaxy. While not being as massive as other 3D Mario locations, it was able to scratch that same itch of exploration. You're able to dive into the depths to find hidden treasure, including a green shell that lets you swim around faster for a bit. Then there were also higher sections with tons of buttons to press and gas to get across. You also get the ice flower in this stage. I think it's funny to see this version of Mario just get completely turned to ice, as the later versions of Ice Mario actually give him a full outfit, but this one he just turns into ice, allowing him to wall jump on these waterfalls, which is pretty sick. Truth be told, I'm just a fan of levels that take place on the beach. 9 out of 10 times this is where I would like to be anyway, so to do it in video games is always pleasant. As for my favorite star in this game, I'm a little bit of a cynic. This is the age where I started to want to get really good at Mario games, so I always adored the more difficult levels, and one of the toughest in this game is Luigi's purple coins. You need to run around this 2D rendition of Luigi and collect 100 purple coins before the timer runs out. The neat part, or the part of pure horror depending on who you ask, is that the floor below you will either disappear, tilt, or be poisonous and suck Mario right in. It's common for you to need to go back for a single coin you might have missed, but the whole floor is gone, and they do not come back in this level. So you really need to stop and think about your path if you want to do this all in one go. The star doesn't even come to you when you get all of the coins, as you need to carefully jump to its location without dying. Eventually, triumphing over this challenge is one of my strongest Mario memories. This is another Mario game in the sauceless era, but it's actually one of my favorite games on the Wii. While the levels are just as basic as New Super Mario Bros. With your fields and your deserts and your water stages, this is the first Mario game that allows for 4-player simultaneous gameplay to occur, which in itself led the game to a lot of shenanigans, but overall enhances the game as the zoom out of the camera has to focus on more players. And the one stage that shows this a lot for me has to be World 2-6. In this level, you need to balance on top of this pink block while it slowly makes its way through the level. You'll be collecting coins, avoiding Goombas, and overall just trying not to fall off. On single player, this is really nothing to write home about. You can get through this one pretty easily. But throw in other players into the mix and you get one of the most chaotic Mario levels to ever exist. Trying to get all 4 players on this pink block without falling feels like it's damn near impossible. You'll be pushing off your homies, throwing them, and just screaming at each other. Or get someone who's trying to push ahead, accidentally leaving everyone behind, causing them to fall to their deaths. I think this is the first Mario level to make me die laughing the entire way through, and it really shows that this game is one that you should be playing with your friends. So Mario Galaxy 2 is even more linear than Mario Galaxy 1, as there's an actual level select map rather than a hub world to explore when jumping into levels. Remember that thing I said about enjoying going fast in Mario games? Well, this level is no different with the Hightail Falls Galaxy. Even when you fly in here, the level design is nuts and you can see different chunks of platforms floating so far from each other. In this stage, you'll take control of Yoshi as you consume peppers and run by as fast as you can. And Yoshi's controls are nerfed a little bit, making it harder to make certain turns. Still, any level that's designed with Yoshi right in the middle is gonna rank high for me, and you really have to be careful to not go careening right off the side. Running up vertically on this section, I remember almost making me vomit the first time I did it. It's not too difficult to get through, but it's still one of my favorite levels in the game. As for my favorite star, let's talk about the perfect run. This is the true final mission in the game, and it is only unlocked after finishing the stage in the ultimate test. Basically, it's the same stage again, but only this time you'll have to go through the entire stage without taking a single hit. There's no checkpoints, no place to gain more HP. If you make even a single mistake, you're sent right back to the beginning. This is a stage that requires you to lock in completely, and I think is still one of the hardest final levels in a Super Mario game. It also uses music from the original Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack, which is also a pretty nice detail. I remember spending hours on my Wii trying to beat this stage, and when I finally did, it was such an incredibly satisfying moment. You really had to put everything on the test to not make a single mistake, pushing beyond your limits, making it my favorite challenge in Galaxy.
Pizza play!
So this is the first 3D Mario with the level design of 2D Mario games. You're able to move around in the third dimension, but the goal remains the same in reaching the end and grabbing the flagpole. Pretty solid game, I had a lot of fun with it. The first two levels are very much focused on this top-down perspective, making it hard to want to look around and see everything, but then you're able to see the true scope of the game upon arriving in World 1-3. Right on the jump, you can use these binoculars and see all of the level you have ahead of you. And I remember this blowing my mind when I saw it for the first time. It was this massive stage that makes its way all the way down, but you can see the whole thing. From this point, it was possible for you to walk over to the very end, showing us how massive some of these stages could get. This, to me, is the stage that made this feel like such a bigger and grander Mario game. There are a handful of stages like this throughout the game, but this is where it all began. And I'll never forget that feeling of oohs and ahs I got when getting here for the first time. There's even an ending section where you jump off a cliff and jump down onto this platform, and I'm sure it looks even cooler if you had the 3D option turned on. I mean, 3D effects don't really work on me with me being half blind and all, but I did very much enjoy making this leap at the end. Really put into perspective how grand this portable Mario adventure could get. So this is the most sauceless entry of the Mario sauceless era, as the main point of this game was to gather as many coins as possible. A lot of the stages in this game are designed around that, making the whole life system feel pretty worthless. Even all the fun level interactions you do are just there to gather more coins. Like if inflation was a thing in the Mario universe, this would be the game to crash the entire economy. So to choose a favorite level, I'm going to go with World 2-3. There's a moment at the end where you can grab a shell and throw it at these POW blocks, and you'll get this cool moment where they all activate at the same time. I guess this kind of tickled my brain a little bit. It was just satisfying to see them all go off at once, but that's really it. I'm scraping at the bottom of the barrel when talking about this game, but it's a part of the official timeline, so yeah, moving on. So I remember when they started marketing this game, and it definitely looked like another new Super Mario Bros. Game for the Wii U. Forest, desert, water, you know the vibes. But it was a Mario title at the launch of the system's lifespan. I'm sure that helped them sell so many units. I mean, at least in this game, they decided to have unique names for the stages to make them stand out. While every level looked the same, there was one level in the marketing material that looked very unique, and it was the Soda Jungle's painted swampland, as it directly takes inspiration from Van Gogh's Starry Night. You get these really neat painted backgrounds and even this super creepy version of Bowser in the background, but the level itself isn't really anything super special, but I can appreciate the extra work put into this level's backgrounds. I like how all of the layers in the background kind of function on their own, with the clouds and trees moving in opposite directions from one another. It is pleasant eye candy the entire way through. Fortunately, this is the last game in the new Super Mario Bros. Lineup of games, so we can finally put these to rest. I don't hate these games, they don't shine as other Mario games do. You know what I'm saying? Is that weird? They just basic. I don't know how else to put it.
Super Mario 3D World! Yeah!
I think one of my favorite power-ups in the Mario universe is the Double Cherry. He will instantly duplicate and the player will be controlling multiple Marios at once. It leads itself to some funny stage moments as one of the clones could just fall right off on the edge. Then there are certain interesting puzzle moments as you'll need enough clones to unlock certain parts of the stage. But my favorite stage to use this item in is Beat Block Skyway. From the very beginning, you are tasked with trying to get all these different Marios safely across the stage, as the blocks will disappear and reappear depending on the beat. I've always been a fan of these rhythm levels as you really need to pay attention to get through it. Even if you're in total sync, it's pretty tough to try and get everyone safely across. And this challenge always stuck out to me. You'll need at least 4 Marios at the end in order to grab this stamp. But it was often where I would have one of the clones die from falling off the stage. It was a good challenge and a proper use of the new cloning mechanic. It's a shame that we haven't seen this power-up make a return in any newer Mario games, because I think there's so much you can do with trying to micromanage a small Mario army. Mario but Pikmin? Let's get that to work. Nintendo, I'm gonna check in the mail. Thank you. Goodbye. This is an entry that counts on Nintendo's Mario history lineup. I mean, this one makes a bit more sense, considering it was a big hit for the Wii U when it dropped, but there's no specific levels I could pull from since all of the levels in this game were created by the users. There were hundreds to thousands of different stages to go through, but they weren't made by Nintendo. So it's a bit harder to try and rank my favorite level from this game. I did have a lot of fun with Super Mario Maker, but in this case of this game, I actually had more fun watching other people play. This game dropped around the time when I was a sophomore in college, and I remember going to the dining hall and watching a new Dashi video covering Super Mario Maker, and I would be cracking up up all to myself because these videos were just hilarious. Some of the most heinous games to ever exist, and it shows in these uploads. It's also a pretty different feeling watching another play the game, because I do have my own fun, but I vividly remember my viewing experience significantly more for this game. So for this section, I'm going to include every level Dashie ever went through. Just hours of laughs watching his content on this game. Is this cheating for the level? Probably. But it's Dashie. Who's really mad?
Welcome back to Soup. Someone up your breaker. Welcome back to Soup.
I mean, do I have to? When looking at Nintendo's website, it does count Super Mario Run as part of the Mainline series setup of games. I mean, it makes sense as it's the first ever Mario game to appear on mobile devices, and while it's not exactly an endless runner, you do have a handful of stages to get through, so I guess I have to pick my favorite stage for this one. So I mainly got into Super Mario Run when I was visiting Japan. So the game is free to start, but if you throw in 10 bucks, you'll get access to the full game. And I was playing this a lot when commuting in Japan because my phone would not load up Pokemon Go properly. It's like a whole thing with the service providers and me being in a foreign country, whatever. Regardless, I did get a lot of time in this game while I was exploring Japan, but I still don't really have anything special to say. I mean, it's a mobile Mario game. You kind of get the gist of what it's gonna be like. If I had a favorite stage though, I'm going to be reaching for 5-1 Lakitu's Revenge, as you need to pick between different paths to avoid getting hit by Spinies. Similar to 4-1 in the original Super Mario Bros, I did have a lot of fun trying to dodge his onslaught of attacks. You're also able to replay these levels with different coin objectives to collect, each one being harder than the one before it. So I'm counting this stage as my Super Mario Run entry. It has that new Super DNA, so no sauce.
This right here is my favorite thing ever in the history of forever.
Now we're back, baby. Sandbox Mario in all of its sandy ways. The level of tech hidden within this game really pushes Mario and the player. It's unbelievable. I mean, you would think New Donk City would be my favorite. Like, to come on here and have a Mario level based on New York City and you're a New Yorker, you'll love this. And you're obviously right. Everything in that stage is dripped out from top to bottom. But it's actually not my favorite level. That one goes to the Moon Kingdom. Similar to my thoughts on Super Mario Bros. 3's Tower stage, the Moon Kingdom has narrative implications in the game that don't focus much on the story itself. I just want to gush about this opening shot because I think this is absolutely insane. You fade in from black to be greeted by this gray landscape of the moon, and you can see there's hidden collectibles all around on the ground, but the real eye candy here is the church in the depths of the background being followed by Bowser's airship. There's no music until you officially land on the ground. The only thing you can hear is the gong ringing of the church bell, adding to the urgency of the situation, pushing Mario to focus his attention on saving the princess before the wedding can transpire. It's only until control is given back to the player when we're able to move again and listen to the music. And I remember getting goosebumps the first time I saw this. It felt so epic and grand for a final location of a Mario game. You also got lighter gravity, allowing Mario to spend more time in the air. You immediately had to recontextualize your jumps within this level. I have to mention the speedrun tech that puts Super Mario Odyssey above and beyond for me, as in this level the game wants you to go inside of this cave. The cave itself is massive with lava and tons of obstacles to get through. It is truly magnificent, but also a massive time sink. Although you're able to completely skip this section if you perform a very specific jump. You'll need to jump on top of the Sphinx head right here and make the most perfect wall jumps possible. It's so incredibly specific and took me so long to achieve this for the first time, but by pulling this off, you're able to make it to the other side of the cave without having to enter it itself, saving you several minutes of progress on your run. It's the way you're able to move Mario like this that puts Odyssey on an entirely new level for me. These moments made the Moon Kingdom feel so much more special in my eyes. When talking about my favorite moon though, it's definitely going to go to the traditional festival. After restoring power back to New Donk City, you're able to play this incredibly flashy and cinematic moment. We get Pauline singing her now iconic song, and this ultimately acts as a celebration to your hard work on this stage. With the mixture of 2D and 3D sections, I'm getting just chills just thinking about it. If there was a moment I wish I could go back in time and experience, it was this one. And then Mario hits his little jig. Sure, he does this through the whole level, but now we got the whole band with you? I often break this dance move out at the club. I wish I was lying, but look, he really just be hitting that. Super Mario Odyssey is really just so peak. This is included on the Nintendo website, which is pretty strange for a remaster, but whatever. Even though I call the original game basic, I did end up buying it again on my Switch. I was just having a big need for a more traditional 2D Mario at this time. Like, we just got Mario Odyssey, which was freeing and explosive, and Mario Maker gave me that 2D itch, but I was looking for something a little bit more crafted. There's just something about getting normal Mario levels made by the developers themselves that are just pretty relaxing. And sometimes you need that itch scratched again. And it's just new Super Mario Bros. Wii U again. So obviously my favorite stage is the Starry Sky one again. Thanks Nintendo for making this section so easy. So, unlike Mario Maker 1, this game actually does have a story mode, where you're able to build up a castle by completing levels made by Nintendo. Each of these stages here are to show the different mechanics players can use when building their own levels. And you can also tell they had a lot of fun with making this one. If I had a favorite stage, it would be the Swinging Claw Escape, as the level itself is a nice level with a bunch of swinging claws scattered in the way. The main mechanic here being that the claws will grab you if you get too close. And they really push this mechanic here, as it opens with a mushroom being on the top showing that the claws aren't so harmful, but right after that, you'll be going back and forth with grabbing the claws and avoiding the claws, as some will help you reach new heights while others will lead you to your death. I think about this end section in particular where you step inside of the clown car and now you need to carefully navigate getting through the air without grabbing the claws or else you'll die. I think it's that back and forth between avoiding and trusting the claws that really made this level stick out to me. I'm sure the players had a blast when including these items into their own stages. Another remaster on the list from the official Nintendo website, as Super Mario 3D All-Stars are updated versions of Super Mario 64, Galaxy, and Sunshine. No new content was added, but does that really matter? We can finally play Super Mario Sunshine in HD. To me, that's the best level of all time. Noki Bay in HD? I scream, but it's still the same game. We out. This is the last game on the Nintendo timeline on the website, but it also makes a bit more sense since the Bowser's Fury content is its own entire thing, as the game recontextualizes Mario's abilities in a new sandbox location versus tightly crafted levels. I'm gonna cheat again and say Lake Lapcat in its entirety. While the game is built with different sections on the map with their own loot, they are all connected, making it just one massive space to explore, and you're able to get around pretty quickly using Plessy. And from my perspective, I would always jump around between these locations, leave, and go somewhere else. It never really felt like a separate location when leaving either. It just felt like one cohesive place. So if Nintendo was gonna add it on the website, then I'm just gonna say the whole shebang of Lake Lapcat. This does tickle the idea of an open world Mario game, and maybe we'll see something like that eventually. I just really hope they don't leave this idea behind. And while Bowser's Fury was the final game on the Nintendo timeline, there's of course Super Mario Wonder, the most recent 2D Mario entry that is just oozing with personality. It's insane. Every level is going to give you something different, and I appreciate 2D Mario trying to capture that again. My favorite for this game is in the special world, called Fluff Puff Peak's Special Climb to the Beat. It's another rhythm level, and you know how much I love these, but this one decided to have hands and humble me at every corner. I like to believe that I'm good at these kinds of games, then I get reminded that there will always be something there to teach me a hard lesson. Upon hitting the Wonder Flower, you'll now need to scale these blocks as on beat as possible. Notice how I didn't say as fast as possible, because if you go too fast, it's possible for the platform that you need to not spawn yet. But if you go too slow, then the purple goo river is gonna get you. You need to be perfect with your jumping and your timing the entire way through. And the music itself just gets faster and faster, like you really need to be on top of it. I'm always impressed when I see a Mario level really push me to my limits, and even upon researching this level, I'm pretty satisfied to find that I wasn't the only one who struggled here. It felt really good to get to the end of this one. From the rhythm mechanic to the patience needed to not book it, this balancing act makes it my absolute favorite stage in Super Mario Wonder. Ooh, I think I got them all. Wow, that was a lot of work. The neat part about Mario is that these games are almost endless in their replayability. It feels like seeing a distant family member every time I boot up one of the classics. And to see that Mario can still cook in the modern era means everything to me. It's really something special that you can almost guarantee a Mario game is gonna be great. And we know we'll eventually see a new Mario game in the first few years of Nintendo's new home console. I hope I can fall in love with so many stages when that game finally arrives. I appreciate y'all for watching. Like, Mario is really that dog to me. So I'm grateful to be able to gush every chance I can. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and stay awesome.